The morning rush filled the little roadside diner with the sound of clinking plates, murmured conversations, and the comforting aroma of fresh coffee. Moving between the narrow aisles with a practiced rhythm was Maya, a young black waitress whose quiet grace seemed almost invisible to the bustling crowd. Her smile was polite, though her eyes carried the heaviness of someone who had learned to hide more than she revealed. On her forearms, faint under the harsh fluorescent lights, ran deep, jagged scars, reminders of a past she rarely spoke about. At one corner table, a group of loud customers noticed them. Their whispers weren't whispers for long. "Wonder what she did to deserve that," one man sneered. Another laughed, tossing out cruel guesses like stones meant to bruise. Maya felt each word like a sting under her skin but kept her gaze fixed on the coffee pot in her hand. She had learned long ago that stopping to defend herself only made the laughter grow. Still, the hurt settled in her chest. She moved to the next table, pretending to be unaffected, her voice steady as she took an order. But the tightness in her throat betrayed her. It wasn't the first time strangers had judged her scars, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. Somewhere deep inside, she wished, just once, someone would see her for who she truly was, not for the marks left behind. And in the far corner, someone had in the far corner of the diner, an elderly man sat alone in a booth, his worn army cap pulled low over his brow. The steam from his coffee curled upward, but his attention wasn't on the cup. His eyes had been following Maya's quiet movements for some time, watching the way she kept her chin high despite the sharp words thrown her way. He noticed details others ignored, the stiffness in her shoulders, the way her smile faltered when she thought no one was looking. Then something caught his eye. As she reached across a table to refill a glass, the sleeve of her uniform shirt shifted, revealing part of a tattoo beneath the web of scars. His heart gave a small jolt. It wasn't just any tattoo, it was the insignia of a specific military unit. One you didn't find in ordinary places. One you earned the hard way. The old man leaned back slightly, his mind tracing memories he thought had been long tucked away. That emblem had meaning, history, and brotherhood. Whoever wore it had been through fire, the kind of fire that left more than just physical marks. He studied her again, more closely this time. She moved quickly, but there was a certain carefulness to her steps, the way soldiers carried themselves even years after service. The whispers from the rude table barely reached him now. He was too focused on the quiet truth forming in his mind, this waitress wasn't who they thought she was. When Maya returned to his table, balancing a plate of pancakes and a fresh pot of coffee, the old man looked up with a kind but steady gaze. "Ma'am," he began, his voice gravelly yet gentle, "that tattoo on your arm, where'd you get it?" She froze for a fraction of a second, her eyes flicking to the spot where her sleeve had slipped earlier. Most people never asked, or if they did, it was out of idle curiosity, not recognition. Her tone was cautious when she answered. "It's from my time in Afghanistan. I served as a combat medic." She quickly poured his coffee, as if trying to move the conversation along. But he wasn't done. "Which unit?" he asked quietly. There was something in his voice, respect, not interrogation. Her lips curved into a faint, almost shy smile. "Same as the ink. I was with the 212th. My convoy got hit. I stayed behind to get my guys out." She glanced away, her voice softening. "These scars are from that day. Just doing my job, you know." The old man's chest tightened. He knew exactly what that meant, the chaos, the smoke, the sound of gunfire, the cost of staying behind. She was speaking lightly, but there was a quiet weight in her words, the kind that came from having lived through hell. For Maya, it was just another small truth revealed to a stranger. For him, it was the beginning of something that would change the mood in the diner entirely. The old man pushed his coffee cup aside and slowly rose from his booth, his joints stiff but his purpose clear. The chatter in the diner quieted as he made his way toward the table of men who had mocked Maya moments earlier. He stopped just beside them, his shadow falling across their plates. "Do you have any idea who you were talking about?" he asked, his voice calm but carrying the weight of authority honed over decades. The men looked up, startled, one of them forcing a smirk that quickly faded. He continued, his gaze steady. "That young woman you mocked. She's a combat medic. She served in Afghanistan. Those scars? She got them when she shielded her brothers in arms from an explosion. Some of those men are alive today because of her." A hush fell over the diner. The rowdy table shifted uncomfortably, eyes dropping to their food. One mumbled, "We didn't know," but the veteran cut him off gently. "Then maybe think before you speak. Heroes don't always wear uniforms anymore." From behind the counter, Maya froze mid-step, her heart pounding. She hadn't expected anyone to stand up for her, not like this. The veteran gave the men one last look, not angry but deeply disappointed, before turning back toward his booth. The air felt different now, heavier with the truth he had laid bare. Around the diner, people exchanged quiet glances, realizing they had just witnessed something far greater than a simple defense. They had seen honor in action. When the veteran returned to his booth, he didn't sit right away. Instead, he stood in front of Maya, who was still clutching her order pad, unsure what to say. His weathered face softened, and with deliberate respect, he raised his hand in a crisp military salute. For a moment, the diner was completely still. Maya's breath caught in her throat. No one had saluted her since she left the service. The gesture was more than tradition, it was acknowledgement, a silent thank you that pierced straight through the walls she had built around herself. Her eyes shimmered, and she swallowed hard to keep from breaking. From another table, someone began to clap. Then another joined, and soon the whole diner was filled with the sound of applause. Strangers smiled at her, not with pity, but with admiration. One woman stepped forward and quietly told Maya her meals this week were on the house. Others offered handshakes, warm words, and grateful nods. The group who had mocked her earlier sat in humbled silence, their earlier cruelty now a source of visible shame. Maya didn't gloat, she simply gave a small, genuine smile, the kind she hadn't felt in years. In that moment, she realized something powerful, her scars weren't something to hide. They were proof of her courage, her sacrifices, and the lives she had helped save. As the applause faded, she straightened her shoulders, feeling lighter, stronger. For the first time in a long while, she truly believed she was seen.